Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jared Urain from the Urain Ordonez 5 Diamond Group at Vice Realty, and this is the first episode of 2024. In this episode, we're going to dive deep into the real estate industry's current state of affairs. We're going to cover the top 12 areas that we are paying attention to here this year. And stay tuned as we cover the one section that will likely get the most attention and definitely needs to be addressed. At the end, we're going to wrap this up with a local forecast of activity for Las Vegas here in 2024. So stay tuned. This is the premiere episode, jam-packed, so don't miss out. Let's get started. Welcome to the state of the real estate industry and my forecast for 2024. My name is Jared Urain here with the Urain Ordonez 5 Diamond Group here at Vice Realty. And your presence here, well, it speaks volumes about your interest in real estate and really what 2024 might hold for us in this dynamic industry. Now, if you're someone like me who appreciates the unvarnished truth, very much how I like my whiskey, well, you've come to the right place. Here at the 5 Diamond Group, we are dedicated to making sure that we are delivering accurate information without any of the political slant, none of the hidden agendas, straight up facts laid out clearly so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. Without further ado, 12 top items that we are paying attention to here in 2024. Let's get started. Number 1, continued demand. The demand for real estate remains strong nationally. Funny, because it's a bit of a contrast, but by strong, I don't mean that we have loads of buyers this past year, but rather the demand that we currently have had in the last year has really been driven by low inventory and a matching demand for that inventory. Population growth, urbanization, mortgage rates have all had a significant impact in the industry last year. And the fact that people across the country need to make a move, well, they're making a move to different markets, and it's keeping things going. That's just life. Many people are seeking homes either for a primary residence or they're looking to move to a new state. Others are taking advantage of higher rental rates for investment purposes. Now, while the Fed has increased their lending rates significantly in the last 20 months, and it certainly has had a significant impact on the real estate industry, well, we could see that in 2022. The number of transactions that closed this past year are the lowest that they have been in well over a decade. We've had over 4.5 million transactions closed in 2023 alone. Now, this is limited compared to the normal activity that we typically see on an average year. This is a contributing factor as to why some people have or are not buying a home. In fact, as a result of the current demand, it is strong. It's keeping home prices elevated. Now, I say elevated because for many of us in the United States, we're just not comfortable or really familiar with the current average median home price. But the reality is, in fact, I mentioned this in the Channel 8 interview in 2021. The reality is that after reviewing the data, it's really clear that we are in a new normal of home prices. So we should change our words. And so in this new normal, I mean that we're not seeing home prices drop. We're not seeing the national home prices average drop significantly. So therefore, I need to change the word elevated to stable. So to recap, our limited inventory, along with current buyer demand, has kept home prices stable. Same message nationwide, folks. See, buyers are buying, sellers are selling. And this past year, we've seen a drawback from many people just sitting on the sidelines. Life happens, but some people have waited. And there is pent-up demand. There will always be activity, and people will continue to buy and sell. Number 2, mortgage rates. Since the Fed intended to attack the interest rate 20 months ago, well, their goal was to get it to what their target of 2%. Now, this year, Goldman Sachs expects the rate to drop as many as 3 times this year. That would be a huge impact on the mortgage industry, but keep in mind, pent-up demand, along with our current limited inventory, any change in that activity is going to have an impact on real estate. So if the Fed rate drops, it will also create a lower mortgage rate. And that will keep us to where we're currently at in the mid sixes or so. We're currently bouncing around there, so possibly even the fives. That will certainly increase demand and increase more activity. So we'll keep an eye on how stable these home prices will be. Will they stay where they're at? Will they soften just a little bit, or will they go up? We'll keep an eye on that. But one thing we can tell you is that there is no crash. There is no negative equity, and no, there's not a huge influx of distressed sales. Pay attention to the numbers, folks. Get past the media headlines. In fact, in the face of all of these challenges, home values nationwide in 2023, despite all of these problems, went up by 4.5%. Amazing. Number 3, technology. The integration of technology in real estate is a pivotal role that we're seeing. We're actually seeing it as the tipping point now. Now, I've been in the business for over 25 years, and I've been waiting to see how technology impacts this industry. And folks, I'm telling you, this is probably going to be the year that we see it. More real estate professionals are using more advanced tools, things like virtual tours, AI, powered analytics, automated tools, any sort of features that will help them facilitate a smoother, cleaner transaction. It's being implemented, as we've seen over the past years. But keep in mind, blockchain is on the horizon, and we're probably going to see that affect the actual real estate transaction here in the next couple of years. See, blockchain, especially with Bitcoin getting its ETF approval, they're going to prove the case that it has a role in being a valued asset. And if it does what I think it will be doing, especially with the blockchain technology itself, this isn't Bitcoin, in case you need to know that, but the blockchain technology implementing itself into the actual transaction process, that is already available, folks. We just need to get that adopted over the next few years. Pay attention to those tools because that's going to absolutely change the way business is ran. Technology is finally going to have an impact on real estate, and I'm excited to see what happens. Number 4, sustainability and eco-friendly design. Worldwide, and especially here in the United States, there is a growing emphasis on sustainability in real estate. Buyers and developers, they're increasingly interested in eco-friendly construction, energy efficient features, green certification. All of these labels and features are up in the conversation today. Folks are looking for these tools. These past couple of years has really been the tipping point of electric vehicles and solar panels. All of these have gained momentum in the marketplace, and they also are adding increased value to home sales. Utility companies, well, they're going to keep raising their rates, but the addition of solar to many homes has actually helped keep homeowner pricing consistent, and that is a win. Number 5, the impact of remote workers. The shift towards remote work has influenced housing preferences. Many folks are looking for homes with dedicated office spaces, and some are even exploring suburban rural areas for simply a change in lifestyle. The I can work from anywhere culture has really changed a lot of these options for folks post-COVID. Urban centers have been most effective by this change. In fact, the stage is now set for a shift in commercial centers. If you hear about defaults, you're more than likely going to hear a lot about them in the commercial sector. Specifically, commercial real estate has gone and is currently going under an enormous transformation. There are a large number of empty office spaces that really folks are really trying to figure out what to do. Some of them are converting them into transportation and hybrid work models. They are allowing e-commerce and logistical warehousing to be able to be modified for these particular office spaces. For others, especially with these empty office spaces, they're actually tackling the housing inventory by converting some of these into affordable housing. Whereas others, you might see them show up on the default list simply because it just doesn't make business sense for them to hold on to that paper. Either way, the commercial industry is going to go through an enormous change, and we're going to be paying attention to that over the next few years. Especially as their leases start cycling through over the next 5 or 10 years, it's going to be a continued conversation that you can expect to see for, let's say, the next 5 years or so. Number 6, real estate regulations and policies. Regulations in real estate and policies are going to continue to evolve. The government might implement measures to address the housing affordability shortage. Others have imposed local rules that affect property taxes. Some metros have even imposed new zoning laws, and this is a new thing. These new adjustments in their zoning laws have helped spur on new development in many metros. New zoning options are allowing certain large markets to maximize a homeowner's property lot by allowing tiny homes and ADU units to be placed on their lot. Now, these zoning changes are helping multi-generational families find solutions by keeping their family close and yet not losing their independence. In addition, these new units are also increasing home values, allowing them to maximize their quality of life as well as their biggest asset. These are good changes. We hope to see more of them across the country in order to help other communities make these adjustments. Real estate investment. Real estate investments remain to be a strong and attractive option. Investors are really exploring various asset classes. They're looking at residential, they're looking at commercial and industrial, as well as multifamily properties. And everyone's seeking opportunities for new capital appreciation. Now, because of the shift in the mortgage rates, a lot more cash is flowing through those elements. But with the adjustment in the mortgage rate and the trend down, you're probably going to see even more activity come on, especially in the rental market. Add to the fact that the commercial sector is going to have a lot of vacancies and possibly defaults. Well, these create new opportunities for investors to go in and make a new product. Supply chain disruptions. Post-COVID, we have seen supply chain impacts affect many different industries, and real estate was not excluded. Supply chain disruptions, in particularly for construction materials, well, it's affected new home developers. It affected their construction, it affected their timelines, and affected their bottom line costs for years. In fact, we've seen their prices get adjusted in the last few months. Following the pandemic in 2023, lumber and hardware prices finally stabilized at the checkout counter. Construction is now up 7.6% higher than December of 2022. This shows that new home builders have strong confidence in our current economy. New home builders have strong confidence in our current economy and expect 2024 to be a stronger year for them. Affordable housing initiatives. There are many regions across the country that are focusing on affordable housing initiatives to address housing. Now, as you mentioned before, prices were elevated. We need to change that conversation to stabilized, because current home prices are where they're going to be for a very long time. That means there are many folks who just can't afford to get that starter home. Starter homes really are no longer existent. The housing affordability crisis now is taking place, is being addressed in the public and the private sector partnerships. There are subsidies that are being created so that they can offer more opportunities for first-time home buyers. Housing options may not be as available because of our limited inventory, but different vendors are getting creative with different options. For example, boxable, minimum, mods, tumbleweeds. All of these manufacturers are bracing the tiny home movement. They're building units that aren't like the traditional mobile or pre-manufactured homes. These vendors are also using not just tools that are available, but also things like shipping containers and factories to conduct these constructions. They're making them foldable so that they can quickly roll them out and be deployed in the quickest amount of time. Many others are developing and creating things that are on wheels so that after a period of years, it can be relocated to the next location. The whole goal with this tiny home movement is also influencing a strong interest in RV and mobile trailers. Folks are using these spaces as temporary residences so that they can build up their cash pile and work towards the goal of home ownership. It's opening up a whole new sector and an interesting element in our history. Environmental concerns and climate change. Now, there are increasing risks that are factored into the choice to buy real estate. In certain areas of the country, they are more prone to natural disasters. Areas like the Southeast, even on the North Pacific Northwest. Folks who own property there might have to fight greater insurance costs because of these natural disasters. These natural disasters are having an impact on the insurance community's decision to insure property values. That translates, folks, into potentially higher rates for many folks living in these areas. If insurance companies are leaving certain cities or even states because of the risk that is associated with insuring there, well, that means homeowners will be paying a lot more just in insurance costs. You add that to the high mortgage rates and the new stable home prices, well, home prices alone are just going to be naturally higher. Smart cities and infrastructure. Many cities across the United States are investing in smart city infrastructures. Included in these are IoT devices, data and analytics, even sustainable transportation. Now, while they are shaping certain urban developments and having an influence on property values in these metro areas, it is an interesting dynamic by adding a lot of this new technology. Now, keep in mind, it's great to have these tools and these efficiencies, but wait until the next one, because the next subject really addresses one of the concerns that come with adding more technology. Number 12, cybersecurity. 2023 saw the direct impact of nefarious efforts to take hostage of information across many different sectors, and real estate was absolutely one of the hardest hit. Attackers decided to choose on Fidelity National Financials Corporation as well as other mortgage lenders to try and take hostage of their tools and their information. At this point, millions of people's information has been compromised. It's likely been sold to the black market. In an increasingly digital world, data structures and interconnected devices, well, these end up being the linchpins to our infrastructure. So increased cybersecurity awareness, as well as being able to learn how to have protections in our daily life, well, these not only have to be deployed on the infrastructure, but it needs to be a conversation, a topic of conversation that you and I can have every day as we move past this newborn generation of the digital age. We're now entering what I would consider to be the pre-adult years. It's time for us to grow up, folks. This sector alone can make or break our industry as well as our world. Well, folks, that covers the top areas that I'm paying attention to, but this bonus section here is really just a quick summary to get you caught up of where we're at. This is not going to be an in-depth portion, but more importantly, I need you to be aware of this, because in conversations that we're having with clients, it's just not there, even though we're hearing a lot of it in the news. In October of 2023, a class action lawsuit was filed and decided against the National Association of Realtors against price fixing and collusion. And copycat lawsuits are piling up across the country. Now, the bottom line here is that we're going to see this conversation over the next few years with all of these lawsuits. And any changes that happen as a result of this need time to implement. But remember, no matter what you're doing across this country, if you're working with a realtor, everything is negotiable. There is no price fixing. Again, we're going to dive deeper in another video on this one, but keep in mind, any of these changes will have an impact on the role of the realtor, and it will likely have an impact on the relationships we have nationwide. There are good and there are challenging areas a part of this, and I hope you tune into that episode to learn more about how you can add to the positive element of that. So in summary, when the Fed decided to tackle the inflation rate, well, their job was to get that number down to its target number of 2%. They are going to do that at all costs, and we've seen the impact of what that means. They have allowed banks to fall out and collapse and get bought up over the last 20 months. There might be a few more on the horizon. We don't know. But for those who have not been prepared, this fallout is really just a casualty of the process. And real estate has really taken one of the hardest hits in the industry. The intent of driving down that inflation rate was also coupled with the goal of driving down home prices to make things more affordable. But that part of the equation has not transpired. According to the Fed's plan, mortgage rates has simply slowed down. Demand and delayed buyers and sellers, well, they've all held on the sidelines to make a move. And 2023 saw the lowest number of transactions over a decade. With that in mind, you need to keep in mind that 2024 is really just people coming back to the market and coming to terms with the current numbers. This, along with the new normal of mortgage rates, which we expect to be around the fives, well, we're going to see more activity. And as long as inventory keeps up with buyer demand, well, we will maintain the stable home prices that we're at. If not enough homes come on the market, then we will see a resurgence of what happened in 2021, and we might likely see home values go up higher even faster. Any movement in the Fed's rate will have an impact on mortgage rates. And we, again, expect those to land in the fives somewhere in the middle of this year, second half of this year. When it comes to the local market here in Las Vegas, as of December of 2022, our median home price is now, again, $449,900. Folks, for the last 6 months, we have kept that $450,000 price point, and our inventory has gone from just under 2 months to just under 3 months, which is a good thing. It just goes to show that the message that I said earlier, demand is equal to our current inventory. And as the market shifts in this year, we need to see more homes come onto market because we expect at least 1 million more transactions nationwide to close. So locally, as we expect, we will see more activity. We have seen in the lowest number of transactions locally at 2,100 closings last month, and that is almost half of what it should normally be. Logic tells us that we're at the bottom and we're going to be seeing a lot more activity this year, even locally. We are here at your side. If you want to follow us for more information as we continue throughout the year, we're going to keep giving you updates as this continues on. In fact, we're going to be putting out a weekly episode called Take 5 with the 5 Diamond Group. This is where we're going to be summarizing all of the top 5 items that you need to be aware of. Subscribe to our newsletter, get updates when that podcast or when that series goes out, and connect with us on all the social outlets. If you're subscribed on YouTube, make sure you save that bell to the notification so that every time we post a new one, you get notified. That's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Jared with the Rain Ordonez 5 Diamond Group here at Vice Realty. Until next time, be cool like a butterfly.